when it comes to AEW has been running for 7 years. This Double or Nothing pay-per-view was their first pay-per-view in the company's history. And this is going to be their first pay-per-view in New York City this year. The venue, well, it is in Madison Square Garden. It's not Barclays, it's a tennis stadium. And as of the morning of Sunday, May 24th, it's officially completely sold out. Over 14,000 tickets distributed for the event. WWE didn't give them a venue to be able to work at, but AEW over the years have been able to find it. We're able to walk through New York City, creating one of the most anticipated pay-per-views of this coming weekend. So let's get into it. Welcome to the T-Drop, guys. Let me build, for the most part, the actual contents for you, because I feel this story is bigger than just this one pay-per-view. AEW has been, as far as we all know, has been around since 2019. In that time alone, they had run televised events all over the country. For a pay-per-view in New York City, that has never happened until this Sunday. Now, to be fair, let's be fair, AEW has been running events in the city before. AEW has been in Queens at Arthur Ashe Stadium running events such as Grand Slam for the past couple of years, which is right next door to the complex that they will be running Double or Nothing, the USTA Billie Jean King's National Tennis Center. So Tony Khan and AEW has built a relationship with this complex area for almost half a decade now. But Grand Slam is a Dynamite taping, and so is Collision. This is different though. This is a pay-per-view. This is Memorial Day weekend. This is Double or Nothing, one of the big 5 events when it comes to AEW. Now, a few media outlets, including the New York Post, broke the story on February 18 when AEW first announced it. Tony Khan bringing a tentpole event to the largest media market in the country. And the most important question in this entire conversation is, why did it take 7 years to get here? Well, I can tell you why. Here's what people have brought up before, but not many people talked heavily about it. And nobody is breaking it down about this venue. So let me talk about it. Louis Armstrong Stadium opened its current form, its updated form in 2018. 13,000 seat capacity, updated, retractable roof because originally it was open. So if there was a rain day, sorry, the event was canceled or relocated, but they now have a retractable roof. It was built specifically as the second court for the US Open Tennis Championship, one of the main tennis events ever. And it's sitting right behind Arthur Ashe Stadium, which holds 23,000. Now, if they play their cards right with this event, they can always do another event here, but use the bigger stadium. But anyway, this is not a V venue. This is one of the biggest sports facilities, and they're going to be able to use it this weekend. This is the kind of building that hosts one of the top 20 tennis matches on the world, in the world stage every September. But when it comes to this event, here's the part that many have to understand. Tony Khan didn't book Madison Square Garden. He didn't book it in Barclays Center. He didn't book it in Prudential Center in New Jersey across the river. He went to a tennis stadium. And the question is that nobody is asking out loud for the most part, or repeatedly, is why? Why aren't they not booking this event in MSG, Barclay, or even Prudential? And I'll tell you why. Madison Square Garden has a deep, long established relationship with the WWE. It has for decades. WWE just ran Raw at MSG 3 weeks before WrestleMania 42. The Garden was there for Austin moments, Rock moments, the John Cena return at the Royal Rumble, you name it, they've had it. Bruno Sammartino wrestled there years. WrestleMania 1 was there, and 10. That building is, for all intents and purposes, a WWE building when wrestling comes to town. Now, when it comes to the Barclays Center, WWE has run there for over a few decades now. NXT takeovers were there when they started the NXT TakeOver Brooklyn, the first takeovers outside of Florida location. And then they started doing SummerSlams there. They started doing Monday Night Raws and SmackDown there. I think they did a Survivor Series there. Prudential, same story. WWE runs that building consistently. AEW could have fought for one of those buildings, Or Tony could have done what he actually did, which is go to a venue that isn't on WWE's chessboard at all. And honestly, he had no choice. He can explain to you why. This was at a holiday event at the Manhattan Center. And they asked him, when are you doing an MSG, which is literally across the street?
MSG, 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 MSG. Well, that is an interesting idea. You know, for a long time, I'll be honest, they didn't want me there. Did you know that? Because, you know, the first episode of Dynamite was actually originally going to be there. And they called me, they offered me the date, and they said, would you like to do the first episode of Dynamite here?
Instead of in Washington, D.C., it was going to be in MSG. Makes sense, right? Because it was one of the biggest centerpieces of modern day wrestling, whether it was WWE or before WWE. So yeah, it makes sense.
The people who called me, they don't work there anymore, but it was like over 6 years ago. They called me and they said, do you want to do the first episode of Dynamite here? And I said, yeah, I really would. It would be great. And then they called me a couple months later and they said, we don't want you anymore. We don't want you to do the first Dynamite here anymore. Because it would really upset somebody. So I told him, you know, you all know Peanuts, like Charlie Brown? So I told him, you know, you really made me feel like Charlie Brown and Lucy with the football here, you know?
People are now reminding everyone this weekend how the current WWE Madison Square management hasn't been willing to let AEW in the facility.
Much like Madison Square Garden, which if we ran Madison Square Garden, we'd sell it out in 2 seconds, but there might be some powers that be that want to make sure that we can't do that.
Do they have an exclusivity?
Exclusivity, I wouldn't say, but I know that when Vince was in charge, we tried to run there and he...
Really?
Yeah.
What about Barclays?
Barclays doesn't mean as much to me.
Sure, but
point
still
blank.
City.
Sure, just doesn't mean the same thing to me. If we ran there, great. I'm sure I'll sell it out and be on top, but it's not Madison Square Garden.
And then other people have been more positive about it, because if you look at this comment, people are scrolling down saying, whoa, it's a beneath product. Of course, MSG management's not going to do it. I'm like, shut the hell up, man. Wrestling is wrestling. If they can give you money, get you money there. If they can sell it out the venue for you, great. If they can't, yeah, rethink it. But then some people have been more positive about it. AEW has several other great options for Allin next year in New York, or any other event in New York. First one being, of course, right across this, it's right nearby where Double or Nothing's going to happen, which is Citi Field. They can have the event in Citi Field, have an open stadium. It is summertime, so maybe it can work. They can do it in Yankee Stadium. They can do it eventually. I don't know if it'll be completed in the next year, but Etihad Park, which is the New York City Football Club new stadium, which is going to be literally across the street from Citi Field. Or Toronto. I don't know why this person dropped Toronto, but okay. Anyway, AEW could have fought for any of these buildings, like I said, or Tony Khan could have done what he actually did, which is go to a venue that isn't on the WWE board at all. Louis Armstrong Stadium is a tennis venue. It is run by the USTA. It is a primary tenant. Its primary tenant is a tennis tournament. Who would think a wrestling event can happen there? WWE has no relationship with this group or building. WWE has no incentive to block AEW from that building for now, because in the booking calendar, that building functionally doesn't exist for them. I'll tell you right now, it's also a pain in the ass to get there, but fans will be fans and they will get there no matter what. AEW didn't lose the venue war. AEW refused to fight a war it couldn't win and built its own foundation and front when it came to doing events in New York City. WWE was super petty and used their relationship with the Garden to block AEW from trying to book a show there. I know it's a chess play and Tony Khan decided to move around the chessboard. Now, when it comes to the main event, for this PLE. AEW World Champion Darby Allin defends against MJF. Title versus hair. If MJF loses, his head gets shaved. He becomes one of us dudes over here. And the timeline for that, very straightforward. April 15th, ring breakthrough. Darby beats MJF for the title. The match lasts 2 minutes and 15 seconds. Fastest world title win in AEW history. MJF demands a rematch. Darby refuses, so MJF challenged Kevin Knight for the TNT title, loses, demands a rematch again on May 6th, and Darby says yes, under one condition. MJF puts his hair on the freaking line. Apparently MJF went to Turkey to get his hair done or whatever, because it looked like he had a widow's peak going on, but all of a sudden he doesn't. Whether that's true or not, who knows? MJF tries to bargain with him. It didn't work. He offered other items like his scarf, some cash, the diamond ring. Darby says hair or no match. MJF finally agrees. They signed the contract eventually at one of the future at a past Dynamite episode. Now, Bully Ray and Dave LaGreca and Darby were in a studio for the Busted Open podcast, and they talked about the upcoming thing. So let's just hear a brief thing, because I want you guys to hear something important that was said to Darby.
On today's episode, myself and Bully Ray talk to your AEW World Champion Darby Allin right here on the Busted Open podcast.
I will start off by telling you to your face that, and I've been saying it on the show, since you won that championship, and even before you won the championship, since you won the championship, you've been doing a hell of a job, man. Balls to the wall, never say die, all gas, no brakes, pedal to the mother trucking metal, the way it should be. Excellent fucking job.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Biggest compliment you can get as a wrestler is having Bully Ray acknowledge your championship run so far and saying you've been doing an amazing job. There is a division about Darby Allin's championship run, and some saying he doesn't deserve it. It doesn't make sense that he's defending it every week. And here we have one of the most decorated and well-respected wrestlers out there. He gives him props for all the work he's done. Good for him. And this is a guy that is part of mostly WWE, so he's not making it like a whole tribal thing. He is giving him the acknowledgement. He is acknowledging it.
Acknowledge me!
As the champ of AEW. So I'm pretty sure MJF is not mad about that.
You fucking mark!
Anyway, other things that's happened is talking about in 411 Mania is, for some, there's a website that I don't want to mention out loud, but it's talking about odds, if you know, you know, or favoring. There is certain websites out there that Darby is favored to retain. I don't understand why, because I didn't think they would want MJF to lose his hair, but okay. But it seems like many people are in favor of Darby winning. The story side logic agrees too, because if you think about it, after looking at this, I had to. MJF losing his hair only matters if he keeps walking around bald for months. The visual can be the payoff, more importantly than the title change. Honestly, when it comes, and he said it in the past interviews, when it comes to MJF, he's always trying to take the next step forward. He's trying to always level up. He's not satisfied when he's champ. He's going to say, what do I need to do next to elevate myself, make my legacy matter? Now, running as a person with no hair could be another way to say I'm stepping up, because now he is in a very insecure spot, being shaved. But now he's going to show you how he can, even with a shaved head, he is still the best freaking wrestler out there, and he's still better than you, even when he's bald. Why not? Play that story. We can have Darby retaining and MJF gets shaved, and honestly, let's make that the call for that match at least. We also, in this event, we have a triple main event. At least that's the term they're using. We have Darby Allin, MJF for the world title. We have Tekla defending the women's world title in a 4-way against Hikaru Shida, Chris Statlander, and Jamie freaking Hayter. That's going to be a pretty good match. Okada versus Takeshita. They're going for the AEW International Championship title, which will be a New Japan banger type of match. I really hope so. I really hope that this is a lot of people are putting eyes on this match. It's probably going to be a real good one. Then we have FTR versus Cage and Cope tag team titles on the line in an I Quit match. The losers retire as a team. Now, if that really happens, do we really expect FTR to divide themselves? Honestly, I can see Christian Cage betraying freaking Cope, and they just continue that way. Anyway, we got Moxley versus Kyle O'Reilly with no time limit. This match, who knows how it can go. It's going to be for the AEW Continental title. It could go for an hour for all we know. What else do we have? We have the Stadium Stampede, which is going to include Jericho, Bobby Lashley, Shelton Benjamin, Kenny Omega, the Jackson brothers, Jack Perry, Ricochet, Andrade, and a few other people. It's going to be chaotic. And then there's more match. They have parts of the Owen Hart tournament happening. Athena versus Mina Shirakawa, one of the first quarterfinal matches. And it's going to be great. This is not a thin card. This is probably another big, deep card by AEW. It's almost 7 different type of match types with an overall 12 matches happening that night. So this event needs to deliver on Sunday. It really does. Now, I can share with you about when it comes to this match, it is a sold out match. I mean, the last time I checked Ticks, all the tickets that are left in Ticketmaster are resale tickets. They have a current setup of 14,028 seats minus the resale. The resales don't count in this. And we can refresh this and load up the actual event, and you can see it is true. All the seats left are resale tickets. There you go. Now, let's talk about this sold out story. Louis Armstrong Stadium has 14,000 seats. AEW has cleared every single one of them for this pay-per-view in a market that, honestly, historically, wrestling fans were told mostly to focus on WWE. A few media outlets reported that on May 15 that the show was about 95% sold. That was on May 15. As you can see, it's already done. It's pretty much sold out. Now, I know there's going to be some WWE purist fans out there saying, now I know that 14,000 is not a WrestleMania. 14,000 is not 80,000. And those critics are not wrong when it comes to that math. But the part that they don't want to talk about or understand is that WWE doesn't have a 14,000 seat sellout problem. WWE has a saturation problem at this point in time. They have so many shows in different markets that it has become, when it comes to 14,000, that's their baseline expectation. Everyone's expecting them to do more than that without hesitation. AEW, though, is selling out a 14,000 seat building in New York on Memorial Day weekend for a Sunday night pay-per-view in a city we've been accustomed to WWE only for almost 30 years now. To me, it's not even a small win. It's a statement at this point. That's the second wrestling promotion in America proving that they can fill a building in one of WWE's loudest market. So one thing I want to talk about that I wish more will say out loud, that the gate for the most part is the easy part. AEW has already won the gate when it comes to this event. The hard part is what happens at 7 p.m. Eastern on Sunday, because every single one of those 14,000 fans paid to see a pay-per-view that has to deliver across 3 hours, probably more, knowing AEW. Usually it should be 3 hours, but from their past, it might go further. The card has to have a flow. The crowd has to stay hot. The booking has to pay off. The triple main event has to land in every way it can. And if it does, Tony Khan walks into a meeting on Monday probably with all his investors or whoever, proving that they can do this in a New York City market. And maybe they'll eventually get calls from other venues. We will see. Maybe they'll get a call with MSG, maybe with Barclays, maybe with other venues in this country going forward. And maybe the conversation changes for them going forward, because the receipt is going to be in the room if tomorrow night works well. A sold out New York City pay-per-view at a tennis stadium owned by a different company that doesn't associate themselves with the WWE building ecosystem, it's going to be wild. It has spent 30 years convincing the industry here that they are the only wrestling company that can sell in New York. big promotion. We're not talking about the indies. AEW is hopefully about to prove that this is no longer a fact and it's just a policy. And as always, when it comes to policies, they can change. But if the show doesn't deliver, if the crowd gets cold by hour 2, if the main event flops, if the event goes for too long and people get tired, if the card feels overstuffed, and after all that issues happen and then every freaking critic gets their headline back, AEW had the gate and couldn't deliver the show, that becomes an issue. A few things can happen at the same time. AEW has already won by selling this out. And they still have to win the show that follows. Because if they don't, then there is no receipt when it comes to this. And then people may question whether they do the event in New York City or not. I doubt it. But the goal is to get them in the big venues, right? No disrespect to the Louis Armstrong Stadium. It is a great venue, no lie. But getting AEW into these arenas that was meant or has a history of wrestling gives them the acknowledgement that they are part of that group. And I am praying for them. I am hoping that they have a great event tomorrow. It goes well and everyone goes home happy. But anyway, let me know in the comments. 1, does Darby retain and MJF actually gets his head shaved bald in Queens? 2, is Louis Armstrong Stadium the start of AEW building its own venue ecosystem outside of WWE's reach? Now, as always, if the tea hit right, hit the like and subscribe, and I will see you on the next video.